Hello, hello. Thanks so much for joining us today. We have a great workshop planned for you. Today, we're going to be focusing on building dashboards with NITRO Studio. And before we get into it, just a couple of housekeeping items I want to go over. First off, we're going to keep it relatively high level. So if you would like to dive in a little bit more, if you have questions hyper specific to your organization, don't hesitate to reach out to us separately. We can help you out there. Also, feel free to ask questions. We love to hear from you. We want to hear where you're getting stuck or what questions or concerns you might have. So don't be shy. Use that question box. And then lastly, this will be recorded. So we'll be uploading the recording to our YouTube channel as well as to crowcanyon.help. So you can view the recording there afterwards if you miss anything here in the live. So without any further ado, I'd like to go ahead and hand things off to our resident Nitro guru, James Restivo.
Thanks, Krista. Appreciate that. And thanks everyone for joining today. Happy to go through this webinar and show you some of the things we got with the NITRO tool set for helping you to make out your dashboards. Some new things. I know we've done these types of workshops in the past, but there is always an opportunity to get the information refreshed because there are new features and things that we've released. I think the last one we did on this was about 4 years ago, so we're certainly in a good time frame to get this revisited, and a lot of you are also newer to NITRO, so you might not have seen this content before. So appreciate you all joining today. I'm going to go ahead and make myself presenter, and we'll start here. So actually, first thing I want to show you is just talk about the different types of web parts we have that help build a dashboard. So this is just from our NITRO Studio screen. And we have things like NITRO Reports. We have things like list formatting, list rollup, list search, list view, and tiles and dials. So these are kind of your main features for building out dashboards. We do have a few other either minor or more advanced web parts, which we're not going to cover in the call today. As Krista said, this is more of a high level overview. I won't go through the settings in great detail for each of these, although I will highlight the things that are probably newer. They may not have seen or be aware of, or at least weren't in that workshop from 4 years ago. We'll kind of touch on a few of those newer things that we've put out there and put into place for these dashboards and for these web parts. So you'll see that, and then I'll follow up with some examples, and then we'll also do a walkthrough of building a dashboard with some pre-configured settings that we have in place. I'll show you how to do that. And again, I always like to show you from the context of our NITRO help desk. So we'll be coming at it from that angle, and you can see what it's all about. So just to really high level on each of these components, we'll kind of just go down the list here: reports, formatting, roll-up search, etc. Let me pull up our web screen here and NITRO Reports. So this is actually a really opportune. We have some great new features we just released with NITRO Reports. There will be a more detailed workshop in the future that goes through the reporting in more detail, but just to give a quick high level, what we've done is we've managed to change up some of the filtering capabilities on the front end. So when you're actually looking at a report on a page, you can filter by current period versus a previous period. I'll show you that. There's a few other things like this large list threshold. I think that's relatively new also. So if you run into that large list threshold when creating reports with more than 5,000 items in a SharePoint list, this is a way to get around that. So you can actually show your report with more items. I'll show a report here just to make it look a little nicer on the screen. So we'll go through those things in detail, but just quick high level of what it is. You're pointing this reporting tool to a particular list. You're going to pull in particular views, and you're going to then decide what you want to show in your horizontal x-axis, and also what you want to show in your vertical y-axis. So you can use one or the other. You can use both, but you have those options. You can show it as a table or a chart, or you can show it as both. And you have this preview option so you can see what it looks like before you put it on your page. So there's some, those are some of the real basic features that you have. Of course, you can take it a little further and go into some advanced settings, add scripting if you want to. There's different thematic elements you can add to it. And then we recently added in this ability to tag reports, so you can have when they show on your report center, you can actually categorize or tag your reports into certain groups, make it a little easier to find what you're looking for. So you might have, especially the help desk scenario, you might have task reports and you might have ticket reports in the same site. So you want to separate those out. So it's a couple of high level features there for the reporting tool. Formatting, I would just go down the line here. The formatting tool is great for highlighting that a certain field is a certain value. So just show you what this looks like on our tickets list in the help desk. We'll go there. And we have a few settings already. I'm going to create a quick new one to show a normal priority as a green color. So let's see. So highlight normal priority, and where priority equals normal. I can pull it from this drop down here. And we want to apply color. We're going to do a background color, not the text. We'll do just something in the range of green here just to make it visible. Maybe actually choose yellow just to make it a little more highlighted and easier to see for some individuals perhaps. And we're going to choose priority there. Okay. Quick and dirty, simple setting. Of course, with that condition builder, you can, and that's throughout all our applications. I say it every time that there's lots of different things that you can put in place here, lots of conditions you can put in place. You can group conditions, nest conditions. So there's a lot you can do there. I won't belabor that point, but just to show you this one real quick, I have a normal priority item here on the dashboard, this dashboard. We're gonna refresh that. And it should pick up the new settings to highlight normal. So you can see it's highlighted that priority as normal. I might want to go back and change the font settings to make it pop a little more, but that's part of the iterative process. And I think throughout this, one of the things I'll mention a few times is probably the iterative nature of building these dashboards. And it is easy to go in and change these things. You can see I didn't have to do anything more than change the setting over here and then refresh this page over here. And then I could see my changes and just kind of keep going back and forth like that. I'm going to get into list view in just a minute because I think that's a lot more powerful of a tool than, link tiles is also quite powerful as well. So we'll talk about these two next, where you have tiles that you can put onto a page just to show you what this looks like. These are actually quick link tiles right here, as a matter of fact, but really I wanted to show you what they look like on where did I have that? I had it somewhere. It's escaping right now where I had it, but they're basically clickable links. This is actually from our list view, so it's not quite the same thing, but it is a similar idea. We have, and I'll show you through this thing. The quick links can really be shown in various ways. Like we've used it to show things in a manner like this quite often, but there's always opportunities to show it like this instead. So you have a lot of control over what those tiles look like. You can control how many go across, how big they are, what color they do, what this hover element does, what the font looks like. So you got a lot of options there. So you can even, you can see they look like this, but you can also have them look like, let's see, let's show this tiles preview. It should show pretty nicely here, actually. Give that a moment to come up. Yes, there you go. Same idea, but tiles, you can add a rounded corner to it. You can add some color to the number, to the font, and then you can change this this wiping, whatever you call that, the transition element of it. And so within each one of these tiles, you can go through and create each tile. Each tile becomes part of an overall setting that then you can go and put on a page. Obviously, I'll show you how to put all this on a page towards the end here. But just kind of set the stage. You have all these different settings. There's a lot of things you can play with here. Again, I won't belabor all the different options, but I will note there's your transform. So if you wanted to scale Y, which would be the up down versus X, or if you wanted to, get rid of that entirely, you can just disable that transition if you find that disconcerting or in the way, just doesn't look good. You can also add these rounded edges, right? So you can make them rounded and have the border radius, the higher that goes, the more rounded it is. So if you wanted to increase that border radius and have them look even more rounded, you could certainly do that. So if I jump this up to, let's say, a 20 and did my preview, You can see it's slightly more rounded. I can even go a little bit higher and do like a 50 just to kind of give it real, make it pop a little more. Yeah, so there you go. Now it's more like the buttons you might see on a website kind of situation. You can do that with your link tile. So this is a link behind it, and it certainly could be just a hyperlink, right? So it could just be a list, a grouping of hyperlinked buttons that go to some content that you have in your site to help your users maybe get some information or to see some data. But really, we're talking about dashboards here. So really, the dashboards are intended to give you a snapshot of information in your site and really be able to take action on things in your site. So having, having a dashboard element like this really gives you good insight, so you can compare your numbers of tickets to unassigned tickets to overdue tickets, et cetera, et cetera. So you can get those metrics out of here pretty quickly. And those are based on list views. So if you go and configure one of your tiles, you're linking it to something, of course, so you have to have a link. Usually that's to the view that's coming in here. And then your body is coming in. This is where you get the view of the list view. And that's where you're getting the count from. It's actually counting the number of items in that list view to bring it into the tile. And then you have some other settings that you can play with here. Of course, you can make them icons as well. I'll show you that in an example dashboard, why you might want to use that. So lots of different options there on the link tiles. Nothing too crazy new there. There's also list rollup as a web part that you can put together, create a configuration for that. I didn't have time to set that up for this workshop, but that's where you can bring multiple lists across your site into one kind of list view. So it works very similar to the list view web part, where you can bring multiple lists together and have common data across those list views, and you can see multiple items, multiple lists within one view. So you might have multiple tickets lists, or if you're in a situation where you've archived off a whole bunch of tickets and you want to bring those back in and see them in a list view, you can create a list rollup for your current tickets, your archive tickets, and if you have archive tickets across multiple, years, for instance, you can go and add all those different lists to your list rollup. There may many different use cases for that. And then what I want to dig into a little more deeply here is the list view, where we've added a few different things. And I think the most powerful thing we've added here that hopefully you'll find useful is that we have this query view option, where it's going to mimic what you can do with a SharePoint list view, which is filtering what you see on the view based on the criteria you determine. This query view actually gets a lot more granular with the conditions. So this is way more useful. I think a lot more intuitive than what you use in the standard SharePoint list views. Those can be quite cumbersome. You can't really nest your ands and ors all that well. Although I do know with the modern interface, you do have a lot more complexity that you can build into those list views. But try going to edit that. You can't really edit a complex list view from a modern SharePoint list. So I've done that before. I've created a modern SharePoint list. I've gone through and put some advanced filtering on it, but then you can't go and edit that view filter. You have to go create a new one, basically. Whereas this allows you to go and edit the query, where you could do something like, what are we doing, tickets list here? That you could do something like, we could do the requester equals someone in particular. And you can choose that person. I'm just going to choose myself. And then you can add a grouping here, where it could be like a kind of an or condition, where status equals unassigned, or status equals status equals assigned. So you can just do those two statuses. It's either assigned or unassigned, but there's other statuses here that might come into play. But you can do that, and then you can nest that even further down, and that's something that's very quite difficult to do with our standard SharePoint list view. So I think that's a really great value add for this NITRO list view. In addition, you have options for hiding and showing different fields within each list view. There's options here for, those tile settings at the top. So if you're using these tile view at the top, you got control over that. You have a number of other things you can do with what you hide or show. It really gives you a lot more control versus just slapping a standard SharePoint list on a page. You can do a lot more with it, including up to, export to Excel options, NITRO settings. Now, the interesting thing about the export to Excel is just another value add here for NITRO list views. If you do need to export your data to Excel for some reason, you can do that with SharePoint, of course, but it's going to honor the view that you've chosen. So if you choose the view and then it has a certain filter on it and you click export to Excel, it's going to export everything in that view, even if you've added a filter to it. Let's say you want to do like active customers versus inactive customers, and you select that filter to show just active customers. But because it's the all items view, if you click the export to Excel, it's going to give you everyone, and now you have to go and make that change in the Excel file directly to get rid of all the inactive ones if you just want to see active. Versus here, if you choose the export to Excel option with the Crocanian NITRO list view, it'll honor wherever that filter is here that you've set up in the list view settings. So that gives you more flexibility in how you control the data that's coming in or going out of your system, and also gives you more advanced ways to manage that data in your system. And of course, you go a little crazy with some of this JavaScript stuff at the end here, JSON file stuff at the end. Just different settings that we have. I think we do have this outlined in an FAQ. Again, I won't go through it in great detail, but it does give you more options for look and feel. And I think that is really one of the huge value adds to all these web parts, is really just the look and feel and how you display your stuff on a page. It gives you a lot of flexibility there. So I did see a question come in, but I think we'll touch on that one in just a moment. So those are really the core ones we're talking about here, right? The NITRO reports, the list formatting, list rollup. List search is another one I didn't mention, but I'll show you how to add that one on a page, because really when you get access it from here, this is the interface for adding a list search web part to a classic SharePoint page. We can add them directly to a modern SharePoint page, which is what we're going to build. And don't hold me to this page looking good. I'm just showing you examples of what you can do here and how you can add these web parts to a page. So we'll start walking through that piece of it now, where you have your pages out of the box here in our NITRO help desk that we sell out to folks. We have some really cool reporting dashboards over here, of course, but there's might be another dashboard or another grouping or another layout that just looks better for you, and that's perfectly fine. So what you would do as an administrator, of course, if you're a NITRO Studio user, you don't have all this branding around it. It's a lot easier to get to NITRO Studio. A lot different. I mean, say easier, just different. you can get to it, but I'm going to show you the kind of quickest way to get there to start managing this stuff is if you go to administration, which is the link here. I have it open already. Go open up the advanced. You go to Crocanian NITRO apps. Then you open up Crocanian NITRO Studio, which we already have open over here. And then you can go to site content. So this is to create a new page in SharePoint to build out your dashboard. So go to new page. And now you have your blank slate to build from. It's going to give it a minute to load all the elements it might need to load. Looks like it might be okay. So it's really easy once you're in the edit version of a page to add these web parts from the modern view. You just add it here, and then you can choose what you want to add. Now let's say at the top you want to add your link tiles. Okay, that's going to pop on there. You just need to edit that web part through the edit properties link over here, which they changed around, and it looks like these dials now over here. And then you get your drop down of link tiles that have already been pre-configured. So if you need to create a new one, you can go click this link here and go create a new link tile setting. And then you just come back here, refresh the page, and it'll be in this list. But in this case, we're going to pull up our ticket tiles that we're looking at earlier. And that's just going to be in there. So you won't really actually see it until you publish. And this is part of the whole iteration piece of it, is if you wanted to add this in, let's go ahead and publish that. We're going to call this, yeah, it's going to ask me to put a page title in. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Example dashboard. Should allow that. Save as draft. There, so great. So it allows you to publish it, and then you can come back and edit it. So you can see, okay, well, there's my link tiles, but now I want to add a list view down below that. So I'm just going to go over here to our add a new web part plus button. I can do it within this section or below the section. There's not really any value or benefit of doing it one way or another. It's just what, again, your layout preference, what you want it to do. And so if we wanted to add our list view web part, we can come in here, go to our edit properties, and choose our list view, which we have a ton in here in the help desk, but you might have fewer in your scenario. But I'm going to choose all tickets because that's what we've been working with. Then I can publish that. It'll refresh. It'll show me what it looks like, and now I can start playing around with it. You see, it's kind of like doubled up with these numbers and the way things are doing. Slightly different information. So that looks kind of interesting actually, but may not be your desired look and feel. So certainly if you wanted to say, you know what, that list view doesn't look good there, I'm just going to go put it on its own page separately, but I still want to keep these tiles up here. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this web part. None of the settings get deleted, of course. It's just removing that web part from your page. But let's say I want to add a report instead. I could come in here and edit those properties, drop down my reports, and get some report. I don't know, average tickets by. So I didn't have a good. Okay. Yeah, we have a lot of great reports in here, so it's just tough to choose one that makes the most sense. So let's do average time taken by staff to resolve. So that's a good metric to look at. Obviously, if you want to see how long it's taking to resolve certain tickets, you can get that information. We have it in here. And then you have a report that says, oh, this guy took however many hours. And of course, it's a demo site, so those numbers are pretty far off from what you want to see. But that's kind of the idea, is that you can get a sense of what's going on there. Now, there's no header on here, no information like what is this report actually showing. Well, let's go ahead and change that. Come back into edit properties. See that a second to catch up. There we go. Okay. Header text is going to be time to, there we go, to resolve by employee. All right, she's a staff actually. And you have an option here to hide the header or hide the toolbar. I'm going to show the toolbar because that's something I want you guys to take a look at. So we publish that. So now you got time to resolve by staff. So if again, you would just edit your page and go in and continue to make tweaks as you go along. And see what you want to do. If you want to add a background color to your header to make it pop a little more, change your text color to something else, font size. So there's definitely some options there. Some border panel settings, et cetera, et cetera. So things that you can play around with as far as what this looks like on your page, and you can make it look better. Now let's say, okay, that looks good. I mean, I'm going to lose some of these settings I've already set here, basically just this, which I'll copy. But I'm going to delete this and show you that there's scenarios where you might want to create a section, which could be 3 columns. So now this allows you to come in here, add the report web part, and you can see now it's limited to just this left-hand panel. So if you want to come down here, we'll get the same kind of report. That's a little different one. There we go, same one. Pop in my text I just entered. I won't hide the header. And now I publish that. There you go, time to resolve by staff. Looks a little nicer. It's scrunched in a little more. You don't have these giant cylinders. You have these nice bar graph kind of situations. So you could leave it like that, or you can go through and add more. So it's really just about, kind of playing off what you can do with SharePoint natively versus what we're adding to the mix with NITRO and the different settings that you have and the different web parts that are available. So that's a good overview of that. I just want to show you some examples of what we can do with these dashboards, and just kind of show you what the possibilities are. Of course, it's Nitro Help Desk we're looking at earlier, where you have the list view web part, you have another web part, list view web part below here, so you can see different things going on with the help desk. This is one of those tickets load under links under manager dashboard. So these are really just like report focus pages where you can see you have your graphical interface of the different metrics that you're looking for. You can have the bar graph. You can see here's one with a header background to it versus ones without a header background. So just kind of see what the different look and feel are, what's possible with the different look and feel within the settings in these web parts. And this one's showing the chart versus the chart on top of the table, so you can get that view both ways of what you're looking at. Here's another one, kind of a lightweight, list view with the tiles across the top. This is a purchasing dashboard where you can see, you can see your things here. Just a real quick note, one key difference that we're looking at here with the tiles versus the list view. This is all pointing to one list with different views, right? So you have your pending submission purchase requests, your all pending approvals purchase requests, all your open purchase requests, all of them sent back, etc., but only on the purchase request list. Whereas that link tiles we were looking at earlier, pull that back up. These can be different lists. I mean, this one's looking at just the tickets, but there's other ones we can add in here that show multiple things. If I want to come in here and maybe look at that, let's see, there are, well, even just the or even just this configure list, which is in the app admin, which I can come back here. These are obviously pointing to very different things, right? So these are pointing to the NITRO Studio, pointing to our workflows tool, pointing to our NITRO Engage. So the link tiles gives you that ability to link out to different resources across different sites, maybe in different areas of your tenant, maybe different areas of your intranet, whatever it might be. You have that capability to link out to all sorts of different things versus the where are we, example dashboard, the list view piece of it is going to be it's just going to be for that one list. Use cases for both, and I think both we heavily use quite a lot. And here's another one that shows just kind of the link tiles with the reports underneath. Sometimes you can tell a lot just with a couple different web parts, and really, I mean, this is giving you great information right out of the gate. Here's a good example of it showing different lists. You have your active assets, you have your software assets, which are two different lists. You have your tasks, which are different lists from your assets, reactive versus preventative maintenance kind of thing. And then different breakdowns of your assets by category, by status, by department, side by side, right there, easy to see, easy to create these things. Just create your reports, create your list views, create your quick link tile settings. All that's doable, makes it look nicely, and you can control all these colors, right? So you have all the possibility of changing what these colors are that are shown both up the top in those link tiles and also in these charts below. So lots of flexibility in the UI to really make it pop, really make it your, for management perhaps, or just a quick overview of what's going on in the system. We use these internally all the time. I think there's just some great use cases and great possibilities here for creating dashboards. So if you have any questions, pop them in. There is one question that I want to take a look at here. Interlake table with the tiles and dials. For example, if you select the drop-down option from the table, it'll also change the numbers on tiles and dials. Ah, I see. I think maybe you could explain that a little better. I'm not quite exactly sure where you mean with the table versus the tiles and dials, because right now we don't have it set up, and maybe this will help answer your question. We don't have it set up to connect across the web parts. We do have some things in a roadmap to look at that, where we can make a selection in one web part that's like its particular view, and then it will filter things in a different web part, but we don't have that right now. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're asking for, but right now the tiles and dials are set in the configuration to point to particular list views, and dials as well, which we didn't talk about, are set to go to particular list views. And so whatever those views are, that's what's going to be keying off of. We don't really have a way to change that on the fly. at the moment, unfortunately. All right, good question though. One other thing I want to show you, this is an example of using the icons instead of the numbers, just to kind of show you there's, going to be infinite number, well, not infinite, but there are going to be continuing increasing number of completed items or canceled requests. And at some point, you don't necessarily need to know what the actual number is. You can just put a check mark there. It doesn't really matter for your metrics. You just want to put it up there and say, okay, I want to click this link and see the completed requests, but you don't necessarily need to see the number of completed requests or canceled requests. Just kind of a, quick to my own horn, this is a document management system I helped refine for our internal use cases. So not a saleable product, but certainly something we could help you build if you're interested. But yeah, I mean, that kind of covers it there. With the, like I said, next week we'll talk more, maybe next week, next workshop, maybe not next week, but next workshop we'll talk more about the reporting changes, some of the things that are new for the reporting tool set. And we'll talk more about that. We'll just add more workshops as we go. As always, if you can let us know in the survey link after this what you're interested in learning more about, or if you want to pop it into the box now, into questions, we can take a look at that. But I guess for now, are there any other questions or any other things you want to look at or have questions about that you want to talk about within this workshop? Feel free to pop that in. I'll give that a moment if anyone's interested. All right, navigation section of the dashboard. Are you talking about, you're talking about the HTML web part? I think what you're talking about is no, not that there. Let me go over here. All right, can you explain the navigation section of the dashboard? Are you talking about this, kind of like what this is over here, which is kind of the same thing? Okay. Yeah, that's a great one. That's actually one of the web parts I didn't really want to, well, I'll dig into it. Not that I don't want to dig into it, just it's, yeah, a little more advanced, but certainly it's something that we can dig into. So yeah, we do have a way to create this type of tab interface over here to separate out your different web parts. This is another good thing that we can put in place. If you're interested, there's a custom HTML web part that we put in here, and I'll just go ahead and edit this so you can see what it looks like. All right, so I'm gonna edit this page, edit this. And I don't know why it's doubling up administration there. Just one of those weird UI things that Microsoft likes to do sometimes. But here's the web part. So what this is an HTML text web part. And what we have, if you don't, you probably have one of these files there already. There's some HTML text scripting here. Then there's a script files path. This is what's driving the separation of these tabs here. And it's really not that complicated once you get into it. I can show you what it all looks like. So if I go to my tab settings, so this is the quickest way I use to get there. Just copy that link, go up through the tab settings piece of it. You should have this. I think most Nitro sites will have this, where you're in your site assets, in maybe in the site contents. You have a CCS folder which has a whole bunch of different folders in it to help drive the functionality of Nitro. And then we have a tab settings page here, which has a JSON file. So this is a JSON file that will, when you open it up, and this is actually a great new feature that I just, that just came out not too long ago for editing JSON files. You used to have to download it as a text file and then re-upload it, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. But this is much easier. Just kind of walk through what's going on here. I don't know all the various elements that we're talking about here, but this is basically a JavaScript file where you have your tab settings, you have a title, and so that's the title that you're going to see at the top here, categorization. And then you have, where was that? Over here, okay. Categorization, and then you have your web parts on the page. So actually what we're doing is we're counting the web parts as they go down the page. and we're saying web parts 2, 3, and 4 fall under the categorization header. So when we click categorization, we'll show web parts 2, 3, and 4, and the rest will disappear. Tab the web part number 1, as you might guess, is the HTML web part that is sitting over here. This is number 1, then we have number 2, number 3, and then number 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So once you build your page and you kind of have that laid out, you can determine, okay, categorization is going to be these web parts. I'm going to count them 1, 2, 3, 4, add those in, 2, 3, 4. Auto assignment, same idea. You have probably 5, 6, 7. So if you look at that one, auto assignment, 5, 6, 7. So you just kind of keep going down the line like that. And if you need to make changes, it's really easy to make changes. Just copy one of these sections here from the bracket to the bracket, add it in where you want to, and just define which web parts you want to put in there. So it just takes a little knowledge of counting the web parts on the page and knowing where they are. Usually it's easiest if this is disabled and you can just go through and count the web parts. So if I put in some thing like this, it'll disable this web part briefly. And now you can see like kind of all the different web parts on one page, and you can count down if you want to go. So you can have like 20, 30, 40. So kind of a little look behind the scenes there and how that HTML tab text works. But I think it's a pretty useful feature if you're if you want it. And then so I'm just gonna go back in here, delete that, and get rid of it. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question, Dee, about the HTML part. There's a script file. If you're missing that script file, we can take a look at it. It should be there. I basically copied it. Anytime I've used it, I basically copied it from a pre-existing setup. So if you need some help with that, certainly let us know. Okay. Next question. I'm currently using the view options in the table to view different department progress. Is there any possibility to, if I select the view in my table, it will also update the numbers into tiles and dials? All right, Mohammed, I think I'll reach out to you after the call, just to get a better sense of what you're talking about. I think I kind of know, but rather than fish around and give you possibly an incorrect answer or not exactly the right answer, I will follow up with you and we'll touch base on what it is you're trying to accomplish there. All right. If no one has anything else, I appreciate you all for coming on today. Krista, anything else?
No, thank you, James, for walking us through all that. I found it very informative. Hope everyone else did as well. Appreciate everyone's involvement. Lots of good questions. And thank you all for joining us today. We'll see you on the next one.
All right. Thank you all. Have a nice day.